Got another Sansui FR-D45. Say Sansui because they're a piece of shit. Probably one of the worst turntables I've ever seen as far as reliability goes. These things were horrible when they were new or relatively new. They were terrible. We hated them at work. The guy I worked with refused to work with them. I always had to fix them because he refused. Terrible stuff. I've got another one of these nasty, this is a Sansui FR-D45 automatic turntable that's not working properly. So in order to test this without putting a record on it, because it uses optical sensors, we need to cover up the optical sensors, otherwise it's going to detect that there's no record on it and not attempt to play. So I've removed the rubber mat. You'll see that there are optical sensors here, 4 of them, around the actual platter itself. And basically these line up with photo transistors that are under the platter. So if we want to be able to operate the unit without having a record on it, we need to cover these up so that they don't see any light. Now I should be able to test the unit without a record on it, and it should go through the motions, but it's not because it's broken, which is typical for these units. They all tend to break. They all have their issues. I guess it might help if I turn on the power to the bench. Okay, so when I press the start stop button, it should lift up, it should move over, and it should drop the cartridge down, or drop the needle down where the record should be. It starts to spin, but that's all it does. It doesn't pick up. It doesn't move. And this is par for the course with these units because they all break down. They are one of the more troublesome turntables, and I don't advise people buying them, but people just keep buying this crap and paying too much for it. And then they expect it all to work. This stuff is very old, and when you get this automated stuff, these automatic turntables tend to have more problems than their manual counterparts. So I'm just going to pull the bottom off this unit, and we'll take a look at this mechanism and see whether I can get this thing to operate. Okay, if we remember these designs, it uses a solenoid and a motor that turns this clutch assembly, and how the clutch works is it snaps up and down to engage the tone arm, and also uses it to raise and lower the cueing arm. So we're going to start by removing this mechanism because this is where the problem always is on this mechanism. I just had one of these not that long ago. It lifts out just like this. Okay, so this is the mechanism here, and how this operates is this is a clutch, and to raise and lower the arm, the solenoid is not energized. So when the pulley turns, it turns this gear, which is not turning, it's slipping. This pulley turns the gear to raise and lower the disc. This is the cueing arm here. See, it goes up and down. So that's cueing, and then that's play. Cue, play. And then when it wants to move the arm, it energizes this solenoid. The solenoid pushes down on this, and this makes contact with this other rubber friction wheel that's part of the tone arm. When the tone arm moves, you'll see that if I move it off the bench a bit, I can move the tone arm. There's no stylus on it, but you see the tone arm moving there. And these are optical sensors. which detect whether it's a 7-inch or a 12-inch record. There's a slot in here, a little hole. The light shines through. Anyway, this is supposed to travel up and down, and it's not. So this is adjustable. There's a screw on the end here, which this is probably cracked, but we can unscrew this thing. You can see when I push down the clutch. To move the tone arm, the solenoid engages and it pushes that down. So then this will slip, or there won't be any connection between this drive shaft and the cueing arm. When it's in the cueing arm position, when it's not engaged, spring pushes this back up, and now we should have a connection here, but it's not, it's slipping. This is probably part of our problem, is this is slipping, because this here should not slip. Now the rubber on this clutch assembly should be connected to main drive shaft, and it's not. As you can see, I can move the main drive shaft and the gear doesn't move at all. So I'm just going to take this off completely. Now there might be it might just be out of adjustment, to tell you the truth. What we want is when the motor spins, we want this to turn that gear. So if I turn the clutch by hand here, will it turn the gear? No, it's still not. Well, maybe it is. It's certainly got a bit more torque on it now than it did before. But now, see, it's still sticking. I think this is sticking. I'll just take this pad off. This unscrews from the shaft. See, this has a friction material on it, which seems to be stuck down okay. Sometimes this separates and falls off, but this one hasn't. It might be this gear. I'm going to remove the gear and take a look at it. Is this gear broken? Yes, it turns free. So I'm back looking at this clutch again, because I think the problem's got to be somewhere on this clutch. Looks like somebody's tried to repair this with double-sided tape. Maybe that's part of the problem. I think this is supposed to have a bit of flex to it. I'm just going to take this tape off. I remember I used to fuse these with my soldering iron down at the center. This is normally attached, or was attached, like it used to be attached right in the middle here, so that there was some flex on here. There's a bump on this as well. I wonder what that's all about. What I used to do to fix these is I used to just fuse this disc to this clamp part of the clutch, the pressure plate. I just used my soldering iron to fuse it in a couple places here so that this is attached to it, because originally this was attached to this piece here. Because you don't want it to slip. If it slips, it's not going to transfer torque. Alright, I'm going to try that. Okay, that turns the gear, and you can press down and release it. According to the manual, the clearance is supposed to be between 0.2 and 0.3 millimeters when you push up on the plate here. So we're going to adjust this down some more. I thought maybe my clearance was a little bit high. So I push down. I should be able to wind this thing down so that there's only a little bit of space between them. 0.3 millimeters. So this should really need to move. I still think the clutch plate itself is bad. That plastic clutch assembly . I think my problem on this is the combination of two things. One, the rubber tire is worn, and two, the little roughed up. You can hear the little plastic teeth on here that the rubber tire or clutch sticks to when it's in the up position. Is they're worn too. I mean, someone tried to fix this by taping this in place. So it's obviously someone's been working on this thing for a while, and I think it's probably a lost cause at this point to continue without new parts, which for a unit that's this old is just going to be impossible to get, I'm afraid. The disc has never been taken off on this one. It's still got the original seal, the paint seal on the disc. That doesn't come apart. It lets me turn it a little more freely. If I remove the gear, or remove the plunger, if I take the top off here, I can now remove the plunger from below and lose my spring. Try putting some lubricant on the plunger here. Maybe adjust the spring tension a bit. Riser gear here for the I just got an idea. Might be a crazy idea, but I got nothing to lose on this thing. So what I think I'm going to try is I'm going to try to make this surface a little more sticky. I have what I think might be the perfect material to try. Good old speaker surface cement. This stuff, when it dries, it remains kind of rubbery. And I was just thinking maybe, just maybe that's exactly what I need for the surface. If I put a very, very thin coat around on the edge of this rubber and let it dry, maybe that's all it's going to need to adhere to its pressure plate. As I say, I really have nothing to lose and everything to gain if this works. And so does everybody else who's watching this. If this actually works, like I think it might. Okay, to say, I don't need much. I just want enough so that it becomes just a little bit tacky, and maybe has enough adhesion that it will actually stick to the the disc when it's in contact with it. Alright, I've let this dry for a while. Let's put that together and see whether I have any better grip than before. Pushing it in. Now I'm not pushing it, and it's, I don't know if it's going to be any better. Honestly, I don't know whether it's going to make any difference. We'll try. I got my about 0.3 millimeter space there, so when I push down it doesn't turn, and when I don't, it sort of turns. I guess all I can do is put the disc back in, and we'll see if it works. Let's try it out. Okay, press start. Arm is lifting up. It's slow, but it's lifting and it's moving. Okay, there's no needle on here, so I don't have to worry about it doing anything, but it's going to set down. Okay. And it'll complete the cycle. Now, if the record plays. It's okay, there's no needle on here. Don't need to worry about anything. Okay, it should pick up. And now it should move the arm back. Sticking a bit. Well, it's stuck. Push the start stop button again and see what happens. Okay, well, we've made progress. That's for sure. We've made progress. Lifting up the arm. And now it's dropping it back down. I may have to put some of that cement on the other, on the side for the tone arm as well. It's lifting now, so that part's working. It's just not, still not working right. But you get the idea. It's the clutch is shot. Piece of crap. Real piece of junk. It's lifting the arm up and down now. It's up. Press the arm down button. The arm's going to drop. and hit the turntable. And now it's down. I've hit the arm up button. There it goes. It's slow. It's slow, but it's getting there. Man, is this thing slow. I should be moving the arm, but it's still sticking. And then it stops. I'm going to pull that apart one more time. Do the same thing to the bottom surface. See whether that will help. The trouble now is it's actually slipping right here. If I hit the button, you'll see this slips. This is slipping. So I have to address that problem now. Wonderful. Love these turntables. I'm being very sarcastic when I say that. This clip comes off and this piece comes apart. It's spring loaded, so you gotta be careful because the spring will push this thing. It'll go flying if I'm not careful. There's a couple rubber pieces on here, and they are, as I say, they are spring loaded. I wonder if I can get some rubber renew or something onto this rubber piece here to make it a little more grippy. Try the same treatment on these rubber washers. Try to not lose the Jesus clip. Okay. All right, let's see whether this grips any better now. I think it does. Let's turn it over and see what the unit does. Oh, is this thing going to actually work? Well, why did it stop there? That's weird. Hit the start stop button again, what happens? It sets down. That's weird. It's starting to move back and then it stops. I wonder what's triggering it. Well, it's doing more than it was doing before, that's for sure. It's lifting up, moving into position. And dropping. If I hit the up down button, it lifts. Down. It goes down. Start stop button. Stop that time. Well, I think I got to put the bottom on this unit and just try it and see whether it works. Yeah, it's working. I don't have any of the screws in it yet. I just put the base on it just so I could test it. Lift up the arm. It's slow. Drop the arm. That works. How about stop? I do believe that part's working. Excellent. Let's try it again. Let's see what happens when it gets to the end of the record. Is it going to work? Could putting speaker cement on the rubber pieces that are worn out, that's what I put on the little gripper, is that going to fix these old dogs when these things break? Can't be that simple. Let's go to the end of the record here. And it should pick up. The light's flashing that it's going to pick up. And there it goes. It's making it all the way back. I think I fixed this one. Alright, I'm going to put the screws in it and I'm going to test this thing thoroughly. And see if it continues to work. And get the screws in. Okay, let's try it one more time. Now that all the screws are on it. Oh, you can make it. You can make it. And it's going to play. I'm going to put the repeat feature on this time and see what it does. Okay, so we move this over to the end here. Strobe down here shows the speed. Now it should pick up and it should repeat. So the indicator is flashing that it's going to pick up. There, it's picking up. It's going to move back. And it doesn't repeat. I'll try that repeat again and see what happens. And it should go back and play. Almost like it was going to miss the beginning of the record there. Okay, it should lift. I'm watching the light, right? The light lights up as soon as it detects it. You can see the clutch is skipping a bit, right? Now it should go back, and it should get right to the record and drop the arm. Maybe I'll let this thing cycle a few times. Seems to be working now. How long it's going to work is anyone's guess. I guess all I can continue to do is just test it and see whether this is going to be a long-term fix or a short-term fix. I think the clutch assembly, if one got the clutch assembly, that means both that plastic piece as well as the two rubber pieces. Ultimately, that's what's needed to properly fix this thing. But these units were a piece of crap when they were new. Like, when these units weren't even a year old, we were seeing them in for that clutch failure. I used to hate them. I just absolutely hated them. So did the guy I worked with. He just hated them too. It seems to be working now. So if I hit the stop button, it should stop. And now it should go to the beginning and shut off, which it just did. So I guess it's working. I'm gonna put a 12-inch single on and just let it play. I can't obviously play it because I'll pull a copyright, but it's 45 and let her rip. Anyway, I'm going to let this thing test. And I'm going to shut it off and I can call it a day. I think we're done. Okay, this one's just played through its first cycle. I'm going to let it go on repeat. There it goes. Okay. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. And back to the beginning and drop that arm and there it goes. Okay, I think this one, I'm going to let this thing play for the rest of the night and just see what happens. But as far as the taking this thing apart and putting it back together and making it work goes, I think we're done. So sometimes you have to get creative and refurbish parts that are worn. And in this case, it was the rubber pieces, and that clutch is just totally worn out, which is not unexpected for the age of this machine, because as I've been saying all along, these ones were junk. This was a really a bad turntable that Sansui had. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.